Good evening. This is Crime Classics. I am Thomas Hyland with another true story of crime. Listen. William Palmer always did that when he walked past the tombstones in Rugeley Cemetery. He ran his walking cane across the closely spaced tombstones as if they were a picket fence. And he whistled a jaunty tune as if he didn't have a murder in his heart. It might concern you a little that the tombstones were so near to one another. Well, it so happened that the path William Palmer took was through a section dubbed the popular section, a segment devoted to the turning into dust of folk in the lowest income bracket. William Palmer's using this path because it's a shortcut. He's anxious to see his sweetheart. He carries candy for her and poison for her husband. Thoughtful man. So tonight, my report to you on the Hangman and William Palmer. Who won?
Crime Classics, a new series of true crime stories from the records and newspapers of every land from every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, teller of murders. Now, once again, Mr. Thomas Hyland.
A word about Rugeley, England in 1854. It was about as large as Twickenham. Most of the people of Rugeley toiled at Bladen's brass foundry, England's prime source of supply for ornamental door knockers. The foundries of Rugeley, too, are famous as originators of the claw and ball design, later adapted as legs for bathtubs. The town itself, in its better sections, was spoken of as quite pretty. There was a heroic fountain in the center of the square, a statue of 3 abducted maidens of 1152. And to this fountain of a forenoon would come the wives of the town to nudge each other and gossip. Down the street from it, the town hall, and around the corner from the town hall, the home of Mrs. Katie Abley and her husband George. Mr. Abley is in bed waiting for his lunch, and Katie is waiting for that.
Oh, William.
And for that.
Oh, and you've brought me candy.
£5.
Oh, cool.
Where is he?
Oh, he's a bed doctor.
How does he feel?
Moist.
Did you give him the medicine?
I did. And no sooner than it went down him that he sat up with a start, looked about him and lay down again. From then on, he slept fitfully.
Katie.
Oh, now don't you dare, Doctor.
No. Listen, Katie.
What is it?
I stopped in the laboratory of the hospital and I got a new medicine.
The ones you've given my husband so far have just been keeping him sick, Doctor.
Your husband has an amazing constitution.
What is the name of this new medicine?
Strychnine.
Why haven't you used it before?
Traces of it are easily to be detected.
And why are you using it now?
Well, this morning at the pub, I stopped in for a dram. I met a man, a doctor. He's 80 years old and has newly come to Rugeley. He wants so much to make friends. And, Katie?
Yes?
He has the authority to sign birth certificates.
And if someone should die?
He has the authority to sign death certificates.
Doctor?
Yes.
I've got some piping hot broth.
Of what?
Kidneys and such.
Seasoned well?
With rosemary and thyme and basil.
Add this to it.
Cool. All of it?
Your husband's constitution should be written up in the journals.
All of it. I'll ladle out the broth. George, I brought you some nice broth. Here, now you let me spoon it for you. That's a nice boy. Eat up all the kidney broth.
was on that day that George Abley's constitution finally gave out. Dr. William Palmer summoned his new 80-year-old friend, Dr. Bamford, and in deference to the aged doctor's failing eyesight, Palmer moved the deceased over into the light. Dr. Bamford corroborated on the diagnosis of death due to internal strictures and closures and signed the death certificate. Dr. Bamford had found a friend. It was barely 6 weeks after George Abley had been deposited in Rugeley Cemetery in the north plot above the popular section when this happened.
You don't love me anymore, Doctor.
Of course I do. Katie.
I've no more money, if that's what you want.
But your husband left you £1,000.
And I've given you all but a pittance.
And you've no more?
You don't love me.
And you've no more?
No.
Once I loved you, Katie, but no more. Do I amuse you, Miss Brooks?
Oh, you're very witty, Doctor. You'd better listen again with your stethoscope and make sure.
My diagnosis is correct. Your heart is kind and generous, and it beats quickly.
Does it?
Now, listen to mine.
Oh, surely you're joking.
No, of course I'm not. Here, put these pieces in your ears. And do you hear it?
Bum, 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 bum.
Just the way yours goes. Bump, 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 bump. Here, let me take that stethoscope.
May I make a confession, Doctor?
As if there were anything for you to confess.
Oh, but indeed there is. Yesterday,
At the racetrack?
I contrived to meet you, Doctor. You were so handsome, so dashing, so from London. I hardly watched the races.
Then the handkerchief you dropped.
Yes.
Naughty. Naughty, naughty.
I'm bold.
Bold. That's what you are, bold.
Doctor,
Yes,
I'm ashamed.
Miss Brooks.
No, don't touch me. Listen to me. I'm ashamed. What I did yesterday, dropping my handkerchief at an opportune time so that you would lift it up to me, and speaking with you then, and spending the rest of the day with you, then coming here this morning to plead an illness I never had.
Miss Brooks, dear Miss Brooks. My Miss Brooks. My Miss Brooks?
You don't think I'm wanton?
Certainly not.
A girl in my station. You kissed me.
Bum, bum, bum,
Bum, bum, bum.
Miss Brooks,
Call me Annie.
the £50 I borrowed from you at the track yesterday, well, it so happened...
Oh, don't talk about it. Not now.
They were wed. He, a young doctor, she, the daughter of an English colonel who had collected a lot of rupees in India. It is interesting to note that this is the same Colonel Brooks who was known around Calcutta in the 30s as Adorable Brooks, a name which stemmed from leading a charge against the Gurkhas, armed with only a polo mallet, this on a wager. His daughter Annie, as we have seen, had inherited a good deal of his dash, all of his big game hunting trophies, and every month a check. This check represented a monthly allotment from the colonel's estate, the rupees having been translated into pounds. Well, the young doctor and the colonel's daughter lived happily for some months. Champagne for breakfast, and in the afternoon, when the season was right...
Come on, mermaid. Come on, mermaid.
Mermaid! Mermaid!
Oh.
Dear.
What do you want?
Oh, don't be cross. Here's some more money.
I love you. I love you, Annie. Good, good Annie.
Dear,
Yes?
that's the last of it for this month.
But it's only the 5th.
And we've been to the races for 5 days. Don't worry about it, dear. You can always borrow until my next check. You always do.
And you write all kinds of insurance, Mr. Hammerich?
Ship, fire, theft, casualty, storm, life.
Life.
A policy on your life, Doctor?
My wife's.
In what amount?
£13,000.
How old a woman is your wife?
27.
Her health?
Excellent.
Well, you're a doctor. You should know.
Well, I don't want you to take my word for it. I brought a report on the condition of my wife's health from a colleague, Dr. Bamford. Here.
Yes, heart, excellent. Aspiration, excellent. And excellent. Proclivity. Oh, that's a very fine report. I'd say you were a lucky man to have a wife in such condition.
How about the policy?
Oh, no question about it.
How much is the first premium?
Annually, that way to save money.
By the month?
Oh, let me see. £13,000 policies. £50, 12 and 3.
Oh. Yeah. £50, 12 and 3.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Annie, wake up. Wake up, dear.
Hello.
Champagne.
Hello.
Drink it.
Hello, hello, hello.
Drink it all, then I've got a secret for you.
Tell me a secret.
I know who's going to win the 3rd race today.
Who?
Gold Finder.
Oh, you're very clever, but
But what?
we have no money to bet.
How do you think I got the champagne?
Oh, you borrowed it.
Gold Finder in the 3rd. Get dressed. Get dressed.
Yes. Dear,
Get dressed.
I feel...
What?
I don't know. I can't seem to...
You just lie here. Let me feel your head. Warm. A little fever. I don't want you out of bed today.
Yes, Doctor.
I leave you a powder to take.
Yes, Doctor.
Take care of yourself.
Yes, Doctor. Doctor,
Yes,
you love me. I know you love me.
I do.
Kiss me.
Annie.
Come here and kiss me.
All right.
Bum, 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 bum.
Bum, 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 bum. Dear Annie.
Just before the 3rd race, a messenger located Dr. Palmer at the clubhouse turn. He told the doctor that his wife had been found dead by the cleaning woman. Goldfinder paid £4 3 to place. Dr. Palmer had him to win.
are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Thomas Hyland. This Friday night, Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, takes on the beautiful widow murder case. It's a thrilling seesaw battle between ruthless underworld forces and the old investigator, as Keene closes in on the facts of death related to one of his most fascinating and dangerous assignments. Mr. Keene, tracer of lost persons, Friday nights on most of these same CBS radio stations. Don't miss him. And now, once again, Thomas Hyland in the second act of Crime Classics, and his report to you on the Hangman and William Palmer, who won.
In 1855, the town of Rugeley had forged ahead of Twickenham in population. Therefore, Rugeley was sending more men into the Crimea to fight the war of 1854-56. Queen Victoria had been on the throne for 18 years, and her son Edward was the Prince of Wales. This was the year, too, when Haskell Blaine of Virginia came to England to astound the royal court with his frontier wit and jackanapery. And in this time of movement and stress, the town of Rugeley little noted the passing of Mrs. Ann Palmer. She was laid to rest in the Rugeley Cemetery in the South Plot, below the popular section. Not before, however, the venerable Dr. Bamford had signed a death certificate certifying that Annie had died because of congestion of the heart and attendant malcoloring of the blood. Dr. Palmer grieved, collected the 13,000 pounds insurance, and bought a couple of horses. One of them, the roan-named Lodestar, won a race, but Lodestar pulled a tendon prancing in the winner's circle and had to be destroyed. In 6 months, Dr. Palmer was 20,000 pounds in debt. But Dr. Palmer had a system.
And these visits of yours, brother, are like freshets of spring rain.
How did Dr. Woolsey treat you here, Walter?
Oh, he's tapered me whiskey down to a glass in the forenoon. William.
Yes?
My being a drunkard, blood brother to you, a drunkard. What's it done to you in the city, William?
Why, nothing.
Oh, not much. Physician brother to a drunkard.
Dr. Woolsey will take care of you.
William, what have you got in that package you're carrying?
Let's walk a bit. The sea air's a tonic.
Oh, from these cliffs on a clear day you can see France. What have you got in that package, William?
A gift purchased at the inn for a friend of mine.
Oh.
I have a surprise for you, Walter.
Oh, what?
Here, hold this package while I... No. Don't open it, Walter. It's not for you.
Then what's my surprise?
Here, a life insurance policy.
The what?
Life insurance for £13,000.
My life's worth that much to you, brother.
So that you'll take care of it better, for my sake.
Such a brother you are. Brother.
What is it?
What's in the package?
Why?
Oh, from the shape of it, it feels like a bottle.
What kind of a bottle, Walter?
Whiskey.
Again, then. What kind of whiskey?
And if I guess?
We'll open it and see. Guess.
Scotch whiskey.
Yes, but whose?
McPhairful's.
Open it and see.
McPhairful's Scotch whiskey. Brother.
What, Walter?
May I open it?
No.
I run with it. I'm fleeter than you are, and you shan't catch me. And when I run away from you, I'll open it.
Where will you run to?
There, to the point there on the cliff where the hedgerow stops. Oh, please, William, please.
If you run from me and I can't catch you, it'll not be my fault. Run. Run! Run.
In Scarlet Town, where I was born, there was a fair maid dwelling.
Come on, Walter.
There was a fair maid dwelling.
On your feet. We'll walk away your drunkenness. Up we go.
There was a fair maid dwelling.
Don't walk in that direction, Walter. You'll fall off the cliff.
That's not a horse race. That's a funeral. By some misadventure, the black stallions which drew the hearse of Walter Palmer had been frightened, and they bolted and ran away. Walter's coffin was thrown to the ground and torn open, revealing to the stunned housewives in Rugeley Square the broken form of a man who had fallen off a cliff. Or, as the death certificate that was signed by Dr. Bamford read, multiple skull separations. Now that's a horse race. A week later.
Run, sea nettle. Run, run, run! Oh.
Dr. Palmer on a typical afternoon. While he goes to bet another loser in the next race, let's do a little figuring here. He was 20,000 pounds in the hole a few months after his wife died, and he collected 13,000 after his brother died. That left him still 7,000 in debt, as of a week ago. It took the doctor 7 days to get himself another 10,000, altogether 17,000 pounds in debt. That's how much Dr. Palmer owed his various acquaintances. You might be wondering what he's been doing in the medical line all this time. Nothing. Not a thing. A few pills prescribed in return for favors received, and that's about all. As far as his office was concerned, he had long since given it up, and had sold his equipment, and had sent his magazines on to his friend, Dr. Bamford. Now we come to a turning point in Dr. Palmer's life. He met a fellow named Cook, John Parsons Cook. It was a turning point in Cook's life, too.
Ganymede. That's the horse who'll win the fourth. Ganymede.
Bet handsome lad, can't lose.
Well, if you say so.
Handsome lad, can't lose.
Yes, he could. He did. And the next day...
Fleet King and the Lady Barbara Stakes. I have information.
Don't be a fool.
Well, what have you heard?
The gelding from India, Mukjur.
Very well.
Mukjur. The jockey told me.
The jockey told a fib. What's more, it was whispered he had a few kid on Fleet King, who, incidentally, kicked Lady Barbara while she was draping him with the flower blanket and made her all right again. In spite of consistent losses because of Palmer's advice, John Cook remained a loyal friend to the sporting doctor. In fact, he grew poor with him, but always with a smile.
Oh, Palmer. You're my friend. My friend.
And one morning...
Palmer! Palmer, I've done it! I won. Did you hear me? I said I won.
A bob? 2 bobs?
25,000 pounds.
You're crazy.
25,000 pounds, old friend. I've had one of those days we talk about, one of those days we think about when we're trying to sleep or when we're getting drunk.
25,000? Show me. Show me! Show me.
Look!
We're rich.
Yes.
Rich. Cook. Cook, you're my friend. Cook. Talk to me.
What do you want?
What are you going to do with that money? It's our money, isn't it? Yours and mine. Our money. What are you going to do with it?
I'm going to America.
What?
America.
What about me?
You're my friend.
What about me, Cook?
You wish me well.
And the money?
I'll be rich in America.
Without me?
Without you.
I bear you no malice, Cook.
Well, why should you?
We've been good friends. I'll be so sorry to see you go.
I'll remember you well.
Cook, listen.
What?
A last drink with me.
Well, I don't mind.
A special drink.
Well, of course.
Oh, I'm very happy for you, Cook.
Yes, friend of mine.
Wait here.
Where are you going?
A special brandy in my belongings in the next room.
Good.
Wait here.
All right.
25,000. Oh, I'm very happy for you, Cook. Open the door for me. My hands are full. Special brandy, Cook.
Oh, dear friend.
This one's yours.
dear friend.
America.
Hmm. Oh.
Greedy. Greedy, greedy.
Well, in truth, Palmer, I'm in a hurry. That's why I swallowed down the brand.
Greedy, greedy, greedy.
The taste.
You've been poisoned. On my word.
Palmer.
I can't help you. I want your money. You die quickly. You're doing it now.
Dr. Bamford! Dr. Bamford, come quickly!
A friend of mine just died, Dr. Bamford, from occlusion of the heart valves. Come quickly. Bring your pad of death certificate, Doctor, and your indelible pencil. Quickly. Here, I'll help you, sir.
It would have worked, too, except that it had happened 3 times before. Mr. Hatton, local police superintendent, noted a sheaf of 1,000-pound notes peeking out of the doctor's back pocket. An arrest was made, a trial was held, the doctor was found guilty and hanged, and the physician who pronounced him dead was named Bamford. Death due to dramatic separation of the cervical spine, the doctor wrote. Which is what happens in cases like these.
Crime Classics, brought to you by Plymouth, with the reminder that tomorrow is the day for your first look at the big, bright, beautiful new 54 Plymouth. On display tomorrow.
Good evening. I am Thomas Hyland with another true story of crime. Listen. That was a cake baker breaking an egg and separating it, the white here, the yolk here. That was the last of 12 eggs to be separated. Next step in the recipe, beat the whites. Our cake baker is French and a good baker, too, so, of course, the cake will be of a lightness and a delicacy that... a cake that kisses back. Pour in the sugar, the flour, and now the ingredient that makes this cake different from all other cakes. You didn't hear anything because it was only a smidgen. And smidgens don't make any more noise. Not even a smidgen of arsenic, which that was. The noise comes later. So tonight, my report to you on the 7-layered arsenic cake of Madame Lafarge.
Crime Classics, a new series of true crime stories taken from the records and newspapers of every land from every time. Your host each week, Mr. Thomas Hyland, connoisseur of crime, student of violence, and teller of murders. First, a message for all of you.
This is the week, tomorrow's the day. The day the great new 54 high-style Plymouth comes to town, and a $25,000 contest.
with a chance for you to win a brand new 54 Plymouth or one of hundreds of cash prizes.
You'll love the new 54 Plymouth. It's big, bright, beautiful. Longer this year with a low, wide, sleek silhouette. And inside, Plymouth brings to the low-price field the luxury of high-style interiors with an exciting array of new fabrics and color combinations for you to choose from.
Power steering is available in the new 54 Plymouth. Full-time power steering to help you every mile you drive. And you like the way it makes parking in tight places a cinch because it does 80% of the work for you.
3 new Plymouth lines this year, too. New Plaza, New Savoy, New Belvedere. 3 separate lines, and in every line, a wide selection of body styles and color combinations to choose from.
The 54 Plymouth has 64 new features and advancements. Yes, it's 64 for 54. And tomorrow's your day for a first-hand look at this dramatic new car.
Tomorrow starts the Big Plymouth contest, too. So be sure to get your entry blank from your Plymouth dealer when you go in to see the big, bright, beautiful new 54 Plymouth tomorrow.
And now, once again, Mr. Thomas Hyland and his report on the 7-layered arsenic cake of Madame Lafarge.
France, as the 4th decade of the 19th century was closing, Louis Philippe was on the throne. It was late summer of 1839, a season of unrest in Paris. In the dark alleys and dank cellars, a populace seethed and grumbled and wrote slogans in chalk on the cobblestones, phrases such as allons, à bas, en avant, aux guillotines, which meant that in this stage people were either for things or against things, or wanted them up or down or forward or guillotine. This was in the city. But a few kilometers away in the country, in Glandier, it was peaceful. Summer was dying gently, and the folk took their cue from nature.
I'm quite sure she will be eminently satisfactory, madame. Her name is Marie Fortuné Capello. It is music, no? Marie Fortuné Capello.
Is she rich?
She has 25,000 francs in her own name.
Marie Fortuné Capello.
She will make a most excellent daughter-in-law to you, madame. I personally will guarantee it.
Huh?
I only meant that she is of quality. I personally knew her father, an artilleryman to Napoleon.
Stirring.
Who froze to his cannon outside of Moscow.
Commendable.
So, you see, you have come to the correct marriage broker. Madame.
Yes?
Your son, Charles, he has been apprised of the arrangement you are negotiating for him?
25,000 francs.
Yes, and her own trousseau.
He has been apprised.
Go to him then and tell him he is most fortunate. His beloved is not only of wealth, but of beauty. We are in agreement, madame?
She is in good health?
Excellent.
She has never been married before?
Never.
Then we are in agreement.
Therefore, if you please...
10% of 25,000.
2,500 francs.
Here. 3,000.
And 500 franc change. Madame.
Yes?
Your son, your fortunate son, Charles.
Yes?
He still spends his time at the blast furnace?
I cannot get him interested in anything else.
Strange. I only say this because I recall in my youth there were other things to do. Strolling, picnics in the bois.
My son Charles is a young man who likes to spend his time at the blast furnace.
To each his own, eh, madame? Goodbye, madame.
Charles Lafarge was one of those rare individuals who was just a natural-born smelter, an unsung Bessemer, as it were. In his early youth, he evinced a healthy interest in iron things and tongs and anvils and blast furnaces. His father had died while fishing for bloaters in the Seine, this when Charles was 3 years old. His mother, a good woman, was quick to recognize her son's natural bent and indulged his talents. As a matter of fact, she invested nearly all her savings in a blast furnace and an ironmongery business for her son. Charles spent most of his waking hours in the shop, shaping things on the anvil, cooling metal, or what he liked best to do, smelting. He was doing that the day his mother broke the news to him.
Her name is Marie Capello.
And he was 6 feet 4 inches tall.
What of her?
You will marry her.
Why?
All young men get married. You'll have a wife now, son. Son.
Yes, Mama.
Come here to me, closer. I want to look at you.
At what do you look, Mama?
Nothing. You'd better get cleaned up.
And he did. Charles got cleaned up. He bathed, shaved, and got into the clothes of a gentleman of the country. He was introduced to his fiancée, made guttural noises of approval, and in a few hours they were married. The ceremony took place in the empty and dismal halls of the Lafarge castle. In attendance were Mama Lafarge and one Dennis Barbier. Dennis, it should be mentioned, was an employee and bosom friend to Charles. And it must be assumed that Dennis was happy for his friend for having brought such a winsome and lovely creature into an abode usually areek with odors of sulfur and slag. At the end of the ceremony, Dennis offered his arm to Mama, and they left. Then, this is what happened to the newlyweds.
But it frightens me.
Frightens?
Please.
Frightens? How?
The terrible heat of it.
Well, it is a fire. It is hot. How frightens?
Please.
Look to me.
Yes?
This bar, this iron bar. Do you see? Do you see it bending? It. Look. Look. Why did you not look?
I do not know.
My mama said to me you would do what I say you do.
I will try.
Well, then look to me.
Yes?
This metal piece, this round metal piece, you see?
Yes.
For you.
What?
For you.
I don't...
To lock about you if you will run away from me.
A shackle?
Do not run away from me.
Oh, don't touch me.
Husband to you.
It is not your husband, madame. It is I. It is Dennis. It is Dennis. Dennis.
What do you want?
Your husband sent me to speak with you. May I come in? Your husband said I was to enter your rooms and to speak with you. Thank you, madame.
To speak to me of what?
Madame, how long has it been since you've been here in the chateau?
You know it. 4 months more.
Such joy you have brought to all of us. Of course, we have not seen much of you since you've locked yourself in your room for the most part, but if this makes you happy, all of us are happy.
Say what you wish to say and get out.
I bring sad news.
What?
Your husband has gone to Paris alone. I will turn my back while you weep. You finished? Oh, madame, you look so radiant after a good cry.
When did he go?
This morning.
Oh.
He has a plan for a blast furnace, a new principle.
My husband.
He was introduced to pencil and paper just last week, and already he has the theory for a new furnace. Remarkable, is it not?
I wish him well.
He asked me, shy man that he is, to say another thing. The 25,000 francs, which is banked in your name, he wishes it. Where are you, madame? Poor madame. Where are you, madame? I would give it to him. Just a while ago, below at the furnace, he fashioned a thing. Oh, it's diabolical, the equipment your husband can make. Before he left, he lifted it up with both hands and said, Just my wife's size. Ugh.
And if I give it to him?
He will have compassion for you. He says only that. He will honor your desire to remain alone.
Very well.
Oh, you are a good wife. Oh, a word.
Yes?
I, too, have compassion for you. You must understand that.
Compassion? Why?
Your husband is a brute. He is a brute. He is also an imbecile.
Yes.
He is better off if he is dead.
Yes.
What?
I said yes. He is better off if he is dead.
Of course he is. Madame, I take your leave. Madame Lafarge, open quickly, open.
Monsieur Dennis.
Madame.
What are you doing in my chambers?
A terrible thing, so terrible.
What are you talking about?
What she has said.
Who?
The wife of your son. She said
What?
Oh,
what is it?
That she wished your son dead.
I'm sure every wife in the world has wished her husband dead at one time or another.
But the way it was said.
How?
With a kind of madness, with a curling of the lips, a clawing of the hand, with hate, with purpose. I wish my husband dead, she said. The heavens give me strength to make it so, she said.
No.
Yes.
This banter kept up a few moments more. Then Mama became firmly convinced that she had a potential murderess for a daughter-in-law. Dennis, on the other hand, went to the pharmacy and bought some arsenic.
You are listening to Crime Classics and your host, Mr. Thomas Hyland.
How would you like to win a smart new 54 Plymouth convertible? Well, you couldn't get one for doing less, so be sure to enter the exciting Plymouth contest that starts tomorrow. $25,000 worth of prizes in all, 6 sleek new 54 Plymouths to be given away, and hundreds of cash prizes. How do you enter? Easy.
Tomorrow, visit any Plymouth dealer and see the exciting new 54 Plymouth. Look it over, sit in it, ask questions. Then, on an entry blank your Plymouth dealer will give you, just tell in 50 words or less what you like most about the new 54 high-style Plymouth.
And with 64 new features and advancements to choose from, there's plenty to write about.
For instance, find out about Plymouth's new high drive, newest, smoothest, no-shift drive in the low-price field at only slight extra cost.
So be sure to visit your Plymouth dealers tomorrow. See this big, bright, beautiful new 54 Plymouth and enter the contest.
Don't put it off either, because the contest closes Monday at midnight. Be sure to see the new 54 high-style Plymouth tomorrow.
And now, once again, Thomas Hyland and the second act of Crime Classics and his report to you on the 7-layered arsenic cake of Madame Lafarge.
If you happen to pick up any standard almanac of France for the year 1840 and look up the climate for the first week of the year, you will read Il fait froid. That's the French way for putting it that there were blizzards and snows and hails and sleets and cold rains. As a matter of fact, this was one of the most miserable weeks in the annals of French weather. It is only legend, but it's worth mentioning. A freak storm up from the provinces caused a fall of frozen bloaters on the banks of the Seine. And northward, in the town of Glandier, the blizzard swirled bleakly around the parapets of the Lafarge castle. But on the main floor, in a kitchen lighted by a roaring blaze and warmed by a scene of domestic enterprise...
Now you must take the dough and roll it. There, on the table of my aunt.
Your aunt must have been too generous, Madame Lafarge, to have given you so much
Knead the dough, daughter-in-law. And Now I must ask you a question.
What is it?
Do you hate my son, your husband?
I will answer you. At times I do hate him.
This I can understand. But do you wish him dead?
Oh, no. Oh, perhaps in a burst of fury, yes, but oh, no, he...
Yes?
Like a child. Like a small child.
Dennis said...
What?
Nothing. Dennis is so quick to take offense. He cares so much for my son, have you noticed? Truly a friend, truly.
I feel for your son. Somehow, right now, I feel for your son a warmth. So the baking of these cakes, which I will send to him in Paris.
I am the most fortunate of mothers-in-law.
I have resolved to give my marriage every chance, to forget what has happened. Therefore, I will do as my husband bids.
You will send him the money?
All of it that is in my name.
25,000 francs?
To the sou. I will send it along with the cakes.
Marie.
Yes, dear mother-in-law?
You are good. It is important that Charles build his blast furnace. When that is done...
Never mind. Here, will you put the dough in the pans? There should be enough to fill those 5 small ones.
Gladly.
I will wash my hands and write Charles a note.
You'll find a pen on the desk of my aunt. And when you are finished, we will put it with the cakes and the money. And Dennis will mail all of it. Let me kiss you.
And they offered each other their cheeks. Then Marie washed her hands and wrote her husband a tender note. Madame Lafarge put the cakes, 5 small ones, into the oven, which her aunt had willed to her, and dozed for a while in her aunt's favorite chair. Then the cakes were ready. They were iced and wrapped. Into the parcel was then inserted an envelope containing 25,000 francs, and a few words of encouragement and endearment and new resolution. Then...
Dennis?
Madame and Madame.
Dennis, take this parcel and mail it to Monsieur Lafarge in Paris. It contains cakes and money, so mail it with dispatch. And Dennis, my mother-in-law and I would appreciate an opportunity to become more... Well, you may spend a few days where you wish, Dennis. Not here. Not here, Dennis.
Not here, Dennis.
Oh, Charles Lafarge got the parcel all right. It was mailed all right, and he got it. But if you think for one moment that Dennis was there when it arrived, you're right.
So, my dear friend Charles, I thought that you would be lonesome in Paris. So many of the young men get lonely in Paris.
You are good.
So I thought to... Now, who could that be? Charles. Charles?
Now, who could that be?
May I see? I will see. Oh. Thank you. A package for you, Charles.
A package?
Yes, it is. May I open it for you? I will open it for you. It's from Glandier. From your wife. What could it be?
I feel kindly toward my wife. Perhaps when this of the blast furnace is done, when I get back to Glandier, I will...
A cake?
I like cake.
Such a large cake. And here, an envelope. Oh, money.
How much?
3,000 francs.
I hoped she'd send the 25.
Oh, there is a note here, too.
Read it to me.
Dear Charles, keep warm. Here is cake. Here is money. Your wife, Marie. Charles?
Yes?
May I cut a piece of cake for you? I will cut a piece of cake for you. Myself, I will eat none of it. My stomach is turning into a paunch.
It is a fine-looking cake.
Here. Eat.
Ah,
Do you like it? Is it good? Is it light?
Yeah. More.
Here. Eat. What's the matter?
The cake lies against my heart.
Oh?
Painfully. With much pain.
Help! Help! My friend is sick. Doctor! Doctor! My friend has eaten of cake and he is sick. His wife sent him cake and he is sick. His wife sent him cake and he became sick, Inspector. I do not wish to say it, but you forgive me, do you not? Yes, you do. I was in the presence of his wife when she said she wished her husband dead, that she thought him a brute and an imbecile, and she wished him dead. And then she sent me to buy arsenic for mice, she said. For mice. Then this cake comes to my friend Charles Lafarge, and he eats of it, and now he is dead. Inspector, you forced me to say it. I did not wish to say it, but you forced me.
Marie Fortuné Capello Lafarge was arrested on the charge of murder. She was put in prison in January 1841 and brought to trial in July. It is safe to say that this period was a time of travail, for Marie lost 40 pounds, her golden hair turned to silver, and her youthful complexion turned ashen. These, in the main, were observations made by Raoul Lessy, the George Garvey of the Fourth Estate of that day. Nor, during the trial, were the interrogations less unmerciful. She was asked, first of all, whether she loved her husband.
Less, perhaps, than other women. More, perhaps, than some.
And did she ever say she wished him dead?
No, not meaningly.
May I make a statement? My name is Denis Barbier. Charles Lafarge was my good friend. We addressed each other in the second person singular, familiar as tu. I grieve for his death. I grieve that his widow has been placed in such a precarious position. Yet I am forced to say that I, Denis Barbier, friend of Charles Lafarge, did hear Marie Lafarge wish her husband dead meaningly.
You provoked me.
Poor little thing.
You did. You provoked me.
If you wish to say so, I will not disagree. Wife to my friend Charles Lafarge, now dead by poison.
Of arsenic, indeed, which Dennis himself had purchased.
I myself purchased the arsenic and gave it to you.
It was for mice.
For mice, if you wish to say so, I will never disagree.
It was for mice.
For mice.
Ask my mother-in-law. Ask her.
Madame Lafarge.
Very well. I recall no mice. I run a clean chateau.
And your daughter-in-law says for mice. I say you killed my dear friend Charles Lafarge. Murderess!
No!
Murderess!
No!
Yes!
And what of the cake?
There were 5 small cakes.
There was but one cake, a large cake of 7 layers.
Ask my mother-in-law. Ask her.
Madame Lafarge.
I do not remember.
You yourself put them in those 5 pans.
I do not remember. Murderess!
No!
Yes!
And what of the money?
From the bank, I took 25,000 francs and put them in the parcel.
There was only 3,000 francs in the parcel. Murderess! Murderess! Murderess!
Marie Lafarge was found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment at hard labor. Also, occasional exposures in the pillories. Then, Mama, 12 years later on her deathbed, suddenly...
I remember. It was not a 7-layered cake. It was 5 small ones which Marie sent to my son. Something must be done.
And something was done. Marie Lafarge, who had already served 12 years, had her sentence reduced to just 5 more years. Then she was sent to a home. Then she killed herself.